Right?
That makes me feel extra good. I got my burger place. Woo cha. Woo cha. It ain't cheap either. But it is what it is, you know?
Yeah.
It is what it is. So we'll see if the lady have a change of heart a little bit, but
Good morning, good
um
morning, good morning. We are
hold on,
hanging
let me check
out.
in. Let me check in. Let me check in on YouTube.
Oh
Oh.
yeah, TK will be on YouTube so in case y'all trying to talk to people.
Oh, cause you on
uh,
the you see the Facebook one. I'm on you. I
I see
mean,
YouTube also when they post in the comments, but yeah.
oh, okay,
Um,
okay.
so
Oh shoot. Okay, there we go. Happy Saturday. All right.
hey. All right, just being silly this morning.
My lighting is good.
Who you're lighting? The lighting. Yeah. Now I
How
had
you feeling?
watched. Still a little congestion and stuff, but I'll make it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Um,
Okay.
but yeah. So I have yeah. I think we do subscribe heavily into certain tropes and things start to sound the same.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Um, but I guess there's only so much you can come up with. You know what I mean? In the scheme of realism for storytelling. So that's what starts to get me thinking a little bit. Let me. Sorry, I just realized I need to go to the lounge and share. So we are hanging out with you guys. I guess we need to do what it is we normally do when we do what it is we do when we do it.
When we do it.
So let me move this to the side. Boop. Put that there. Um, and let's bring it in and get it started. Hey, welcome to the Black Filmmakers Lounge, Saturday morning indie industry shop talk. The Black Filmmakers Lounge is where independent filmmakers, whether novice or professionals, come together to gain insight and perspective through education, information, and networking, and discuss the industry best practices that will advance the Black interdependent film community. And I'm your host, Michael Melvin, my co-host, Amira TK Henderson. Jacoby couldn't join us today. Other hosts couldn't join us today, but they're out working, doing what it is they do. So good morning, guys. Uh, Jacoby's out shooting sports today. So do your thing, people. Lewis is working, so it's us, and Jamal's working on his grind, so it's us.
It's just us.
Just us. It's one
It's
of
like
those Saturday
everybody's not
mornings.
there. Yeah. One of those
um,
Saturday mornings. But what you were saying about the realism that there are only so many stories, but what it is that there's so many different perspectives.
right,
That's why people who are, constantly, well, what is the industry looking for? Well, what am I needing to market? And we talked about that. What is your audience? A couple of weeks ago.
mm-hmm.
And I know Derek commented and Thomas and I think Jalen and everybody was like, make what you're going to make. There is an audience for it, or you would not, you not would have not been given the idea. And my biggest thing is we are created to create. So there are things that are put in us from different perspectives that yeah, every now and then there's an idea that you may have, and next thing you know, you see it on TV the next week. That happened to somebody I actually know. Like, she was telling me about this idea and this and that, and then
Hmm.
like 2 weeks later, I was like, I sent her the trailer. I was like, Sharicia, this is exactly what you just said, like 2 weeks ago. But it's the perspective. And so a lot of times, instead of, that's why, I'm big on not chasing what the industry is doing in regards to how they're telling stories or what stories they're telling, but to tell the stories that I've been given to tell.
Right.
Because like you said, there's a fish out of water, there's a lost kid, there's a kid with childhood trauma, there's a kid that, generational trauma. There is drug dealers, there are slave movies, there are gangster movies, there are, caretaker movies. There are so many movies, but it's literally, we can
Mm.
all put them basically in a category. I mean, what, Get Out was one that maybe, we couldn't put in a big category,
Right.
you know what I mean? He marries the white guy, she puts the mom puts him under hypnosis, and there, so to say that, it's really the perspective. So it's how you're telling the story and what your viewpoint is of that story. And that goes for, like we said, any story that's not based on a true story, which they
Mm.
all end up fitting in a coming of age.
Yeah. Um, and I think that's something we have to consider. Why? I think that's the biggest question, right? Why do you make movies? It's like that's the most poignant question. Until you answer that, why do you want to make movies? Um, Nothing else matters. If you don't answer that question for yourself, for your business partners, for your business, your friends and your family, why do you want to make movies? It's not cheap, but it's not expensive anymore. It's time consuming. It's very detail oriented. It requires planning, structure, understanding a process. It does require a level of education, whether it's through a university, whether it's
Hmm.
through going to seminars. Um, it requires networking. A lot of people think it's something you can just do by yourself, and you can shoot a film by yourself. Like, there's skills, there's things you learn, but if you had a little bit of a smaller crew, let's say somewhere between 5 to 10 people, how much better could you do, right? Um, there's different types of styles of filmmaking, and I think if we don't answer that question for ourselves, why are we doing this? We'll get caught up making more mistakes than we have to. Right? That's just how I feel. Like, I didn't know what I didn't know until I started making a feature film, until I started shooting, until I was one man on camera, directing, doing sound, and I'm making a feature film. And I'm like, yo, I need people for this. This is why they have other people. Yo, I need,
This is why they have other people.
but I
Duh.
had,
I
yeah, but
get
I
it.
had
I
other
get it
things
now.
down, right? Everybody signed a contract. All my locations had a location agreement. All that, I had that stuff. I did with the people who did music. I had contracts. I did all those, the business part of it, doing the contracts, doing the stuff. I hired my actors based on the knowledge and the network I had at the current time,
Hmm.
right? Um, and some did really, really well. Like I think they could have been or could be tremendous, great actors. Had that's the area in which they want to pursue, and I think that for a good majority of my projects, I can choose some people who can act and bring characters alive. But the question is, how much do they want to stick with it, or how much do people get in their own way? Even myself as a filmmaker, do I get in my own way? Um, but until you answer that question, why do you want to do it? Why do you want to make films? And that's sit down, write that out. This is why I want to make films. I want to make films that are impactful. I want to make films that educate people, entertain, but yet educate and reveal things to people that they may not have known, right? That can, especially because I do cater to a black audience. I'm gonna say it, African American black audience. Um, Black is multifaceted. We're not just in the urban areas. We're not just in the suburbs. We're not just in the country. We're everywhere. We're in other countries. But I am focused on right now the Black African American experience because I grew up in the United States when I moved here from Germany. I grew up here, and I realized what I don't know. Like if I did a movie about death, or losing a family member, which is a current experience I've had, a close family member, like I lost my mom. But it's learning what I learned after losing my mom about wills, laws, court things you got to do, probate. If the things you don't have now, we're blessed. Our parents have, and because my dad's still here, and have things in motion. But there's some things we learned because some things weren't put in motion, or because somebody didn't think about this. Because you're living. Oftentimes, we live for today. We don't plan for tomorrow, and sometimes we trapped in the past. And that's where our storytelling comes from when you really think about it, right? But I didn't know, if your parents own a house, if you have so much money, we were talking about having a trust, or the difference between having a trust and having a will. Having a deed, like I would put that in a movie. I would put having a deed upon death transfer over to your child or children in a movie. I would put those things because I want to make people aware of things that we aren't often exposed to. Right? That's just my personality. If I'm not exposed to something like TK, I'll give you a prime example. And because we've written it, we're going to tighten it up later anyway. Long Came Winter. I have a short film I did called Long Came Winter, but we have a feature film script, everything laid out. I was just looking at the pitch and everything, the slides and all this stuff, and changing dates and everything, and combing through it, and what the budget I wanted for it, all that. And I was thinking when we talked, I said, I want to put the financial literacy component in Along Came Winter. Because my main character is a teacher and a youth activist, and he's pursuing developing financial literacy in the community that is a low-income community, to help empower them. And that's why I wanted to do it, because it's something we need to know as a people, as a group. And that's part of my storytelling, that educational, informational component. But not bearing it, but within, creating it within the realm of the story. You know what I mean? Sorry, I took a long time. My apologies.
No, you're good. And mine hasn't been intentional because I said, like I said, I write stories that have been given to me. And funny enough, I thought for a minute, I was like, wait a minute. My last 4 stories have been all about generational, from Jade to Project Him to The Blood.
Right.
Have you read The Blood?
I was in there. I was there with the reading. What are you talking about?
Okay. I can't remember. I can't remember. Which character were you in the reading? I can't remember.
My wife was the character in the reading, remember? Yeah, Tiffany reading.
The Blood?
Yeah.
Who's Tiffany in The Blood?
I don't know. She read the script while everybody else was reading.
No, that was Love Over Lyrics.
No.
She did the narration for The Blood too?
She did the narration for The Blood.
Oh, that's right. Because she said, I actually liked it. I'll do it again. And I was like, okay, good. So let me see. It's 4 of them. Hold on. I got one more. It was one more. They were all back to back. Jade. Hold on. Jade, Project Him, The Blood.
Love Over Lyrics. Because it's taken over the music industry from the generations. Yeah.
Yes. 4. So that was 4 back-to-back scripts that I didn't realize till way after I had written the 4th script that the last 4 scripts were generational stuff. I was like, oh, yeah. Okay, well, this is interesting.
If you
and I haven't written a script. I was in a whole writing season year after year after year after year since what for the last.
Hey, good
I've been
morning,
writing for
Derek.
7. Hey Derek, so I've been writing for the last 17. So the last 15. So the last 15. Um, God, right before you say how Derek, I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
Um, but I've been writing for the last 15. So I've been in a full writing season. That's what I was going to say. I've worked on a script and did a rewrite, but I didn't write anything. Like it's like I had a break. Like God gave me a break from writing and from set last year. But but yeah, the last four scripts are all generational, and they're all great scripts. I like them all because not because I wrote them. I just think the stories are great because I didn't make them up myself. So I can't give me the credit. All credit goes to God. But yeah, it's like four scripts back to back that are about generational stuff.
But
So
there,
that was interesting.
because that probably is your forte, and whether you probably realize it or not, but you should realize it at this point, because a lot of your storytelling comes from what happens in the past affects your character's future, right? It's impacting, um, and the connection it makes, right? Um, I did my first, it's funny, my first short film that I ever put in film festivals was
Mhm.
about generational curse of abuse,
Mm.
right? Domestic violence and it being passed on from the one father to the next father. And now the father has to decide, does he tell his son do different?
Mm.
I know what I escaped and I became it, do different. And it comes, that's why I say you got to ask yourself that simple question. Why do you do this? Why do you make films? Why do you want to tell stories? You could write a novel, same thing, more detailed. And that's the question people have to ask themselves when they step out to write scripts, stepping behind the camera or in front of a camera. Actors want to act. They want to bring characters to life. They want to portray something that they're not. And then some people portray something they are or a glimpse of who they are on camera. They don't truly change. But and the people question, is that acting? But it's convincing people you're this person that you're not, but you're convincing the world. And there's some actors we think are tremendously awesome at it, that do it in such a great way that we are engulfed. I think I will always say my favorite character Denzel Washington played was Malcolm X because I felt like he was Malcolm X. Like nothing Jamie Foxx playing Ray. It is, I think it's the hardest thing is playing somebody who actually lived.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't make up the character. You gotta research. You gotta learn that.
You got to learn their mannerisms. You got to learn their yes, yes. Tina, look, shoot, Angela Bassett playing Tina.
Tina Turner. Yeah.
The list can go on. But it's funny because I've written uh, of my originals, not my client scripts. I've written 14 or 15 original. No, one is a play. So I've written 14 features
Mm-hmm.
that are original. So when they start selling, they're gonna be like, but because it's like I was in the writing season for a reason. But like I said, just the last four. But when we come to and there's so many, like you said, the actors. Oh my goodness, it's like I have a book. Where is it? I have a book, and every time I watch something, I'm like, hmm. Even that British film when I was talking about that one girl. What was that British film I watched that I really liked? Um, Remember you watched it too. I really
Yeah, I'm
liked that,
trying
and
to
I went
think.
back and I was pulling up the character, the Muslim character, the
Yeah.
girl with the headpiece. What is that headpiece called? I don't know. I forgot.
Hijab.
But
Um,
the hijab, yeah.
yeah.
And I
I'm
looked
trying to
her
remember
up. I
what
was
movie
like,
it was.
goodness, that movie is
Is
so
that the
good. I
one where the
recommend it.
mom is gone?
Yes, and the
Okay.
little girl was taking care of her brother.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It won
Okay.
all of those awards. And
Yeah.
you talking about a budget? It won all of those awards, and that film was probably made for a whole $20,000. Like
At
it,
least 100.
I mean,
Yeah. 2200.
and was such a great film, um, but that was crazy, and she said in there, everybody, that line we talked about, everybody's not meant to be a mother. Every woman is not meant to be a
Yeah.
mother. But one of the things from the thing you sent me earlier when we were talking, listening to Cord Jefferson, and he was
Hmm.
doing the after questions at the Oscars when they were
Yeah.
doing the after thing. He said, and I quoted, I was like, I got to write this down so I can continuously quote it. He said, the most powerful thing is an idea that whose time has come. I was like,
Yes, he quoted that. Yeah. And
I'm
you know
like, I
what's
don't know if
so
that's his or somebody else's, but
yeah, he
that was
quoted it
good.
from I can't remember who he quoted it from. I knew when he said it, but now I'm like, because we're doing this now, my thinking is thinking everything else. Because I'm thinking about a question that was posed maybe a couple weeks ago. We did this on the show, how to film in one location, right?
Is that the one we did? Wait.
We did it maybe last year or the year before, but we talked about if you really that you can film a good film in one location, and there's a list of films that take place in one location,
Kudos to
and it's using that. Good morning, Tony. It's using that
Tony. Is that Tony or Tony?
Tony Williams. All right, yeah.
Oh, hey, Tony.
So it's using that one location because there's a movie now called Parallel. Parallel was done, I think, in 2019. It got released recently in 2024. And it has 3 people really in it. And it's I don't want to give it away, but it's like a wife goes away with her husband and his brother, and they stay in a house or cabin in the woods that their father, the son's father, used to own, and they're trying to decide if they're going to sell it. And of course, they deal with their own issues, but it's a sci-fi movie.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I just pulled it up. Ooh, okay. Oh, and it's on Tubi.
Oh, it's on
Rotten
Tubi now.
Tomatoes gave it. Rotten Tomatoes gave it 82%. You say, but oh, that's Aldris. Oh, I love me some Aldris.
Right. So, and
I
that's the
love some
thing,
Aldris. Okay.
right? You got Edwin Hodge, Aldous Hodge, and
Mm-hmm.
Danielle Deadweiler, right? Um,
Oh, it's sci-fi horror. Oof.
it's not
Okay.
really a horror film. Here's the thing. That's the problem with labeling. I know.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really a horror film. It's a sci-fi film. Okay, there's killing, but it's like people get shot, people get choked, hit in the head with a
And
bottle. They,
is it that violent?
no, it's not that violent. That's the thing. It's violent, but it's not. And that's what you talked about earlier was our films being labeled because it has certain elements in it where somebody else's film gets PG
Yes.
13. And I
Yes.
remember that was the argument between Juice and Cuffs way back when both movies came out at the same time. Christian Slater was in Cuffs, and he was a cop who was trying to avenge his brother, find a killer to kill his brother, or he wanted to be a cop or something. And there was more gunshots, more shootings, more people getting hit, more violent stuff than in the movie Juice. In Juice, you got one gun. It only has so many bullets. You get 3 people that die by the bullet. And it's not fired as much, right? You do get another gun bullet situation, but that again, it's not like Cuffs was. Now, yes, there's profanity, but again, so that is something
I
we
rest
need to
my
talk
case.
about it, right?
I rest my case because I
Uh,
told you. I said I've been watching this trend. I've been watching this trend for since they changed it because they started calling it "Watch the Box," "Watch the Box," and it's
mhm.
been going on for at least 10 years. And I was like, That's why I had to think about that. Just so what we're talking about, guys, is I looked up American Fiction early, and American Fiction is rated R. And there are more movies of other genres or other people that are PG-13, watch the box with sex and all this stuff, and they label American Fiction rated R. And if you've seen American Fiction, American Fiction is nowhere near a rated R movie at
Right.
all. So, but when it's a rate, they move the rating down to watch the box for PG-13 because I was reading articles and everything on it, of course. But they were saying that because it makes more money. So that's why they just started saying watch the box, but it makes more
Actually,
money.
and to clarify, that version of Parallel, there's a movie called Parallel on Tubi, but it's not that one. It's
That's
not the
not the
one we were
Aldous
talking
Hodge
about.
one.
Nah, it's not the Eldridge Hodge one.
Oh, so they got it.
Um,
And then they
yeah,
have one called Parallel
Parallel
something else.
is common. But the premises of Parallel, when we talk about Parallel, let's just be real. All right. In film, when we're talking about Parallel, we're talking about parallel universes and dimensions. That's the premises of most films with the word parallel, or the connection between one thing and another as they move in tandem. But we're they're dealing with multiple universes. But it's a good film in one location. Let me tell you, shot at a house and shot in the woods around the house. You get what I'm saying? Like, it
That was
feels.
the movie with Aldous Hodge. Okay, the one I pulled up. Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
the
called
one you
Parallel.
pulled up, but that's not the one on Tubi. There's a different one on Tubi.
Oh, there's another one because that one's on Tubi also.
They're both on Tubi.
Uh-huh.
I see
With
like
that
3
one,
different movies of Parallel on Tubi, but I don't see the one with Aldous Hodge in them.
yeah,
I
that's the first
see
one I pulled. I mean, that's the second one I pulled up, rather.
I see Parallel with 2 guys on the cover with guns, sci-fi. I see Parallel with a woman on the cover. I see Parallel Minds, Parallel Life, Parallel Parking.
Yeah, I
Parallel
seen it.
Chords.
That was the
Like,
second one I pulled up.
yeah, Parallel Lies. You see,
Parallel.
yeah, parallels. Words, they mean something. You got to remember these words are powerful. But I don't see that one on Tubi. So you see it, I don't. I don't know why. I see it on Apple.
It says Tubi, and it had a few more other places that the movie was on.
Oh, okay.
But
I have to
yeah,
go
one
check.
location. I can't wait to write a movie with one location. I can't wait to my mind. Yeah, parallel movie. It says Tubi, Amazon Prime. You can rent it. YouTube, Fandango, Google. But I can't wait till my mind. My mind actually comes up with a movie that's one location. Like I'm gonna celebrate myself. They're gonna be like, "What you doing?" I wrote a movie with one location. I
I
celebrate
got a
myself.
movie in one
I
location.
did. I have a movie. Oh yeah, you got a movie with no, but no, it's one main location. So I
No.
have a movie.
Which one?
Because remember we go to because we go to the houses. We do flashbacks.
No,
So
you're talking about 4 head cases in a perfect
yeah.
the dinner party. No, yeah, that has other
Oh
locations.
yeah. New. I got you.
Yeah.
I had to remember. Look, you're between Yola's mine and everybody else's. So I have one main location. I have a movie with actually it's one main location because it's shot in a prison.
Uh-huh.
And then like we're at the home and then we go to the bank. So it's literally 3 unique locations. So that's the closest I have to one location. But I have one that's shot in a small town. So that's almost really like one location.
So TK, listen, this is what I just did. You know how you that Google link for Parallel and it hits Tubi? If you click on it, it's not the same movie. It's the white movie. It goes to the movie about it's a comedy, fantasy drama. It's about a girl losing her boyfriend in a tragic accident. The woman wakes up.
So you have to go. So you're probably going to have to go to Amazon Prime.
Yeah, it's either Amazon Prime or Apple.
Wow.
It's not expensive. It's like $14.99 or something like that.
It's $2 on Amazon Prime.
Oh, the rent. I'm talking about the buy. I'd rather buy.
Listen, we talked about this. I'm not paying no $14.99 for no movie that I can't keep in case your site goes down and you
Well,
go
that's why I
bankrupt
do
in 2
Apple.
days.
That's why I do Apple, because Apple you can usually download it, and being that it's downloadable means you keep it.
Okay.
I don't mess with Amazon like that, no, because I have had a lot of people I know who are like they got it on Amazon, they can't get it no more, and they spent that money. So I stay away from Amazon unless I'm buying
I'm
actual
old school,
DVD
baby.
or
Give me
Blu-ray.
the DVD so I can put it in my collection. That's how I feel.
And I think, you know what? That's a conversation we didn't have. And here we go. We're doing Q&A today, by the way. We're
Oh
hanging
yeah,
out. We're just talking. If you got
10:30.
some questions, you got some things you're wondering about, our answers aren't going to be perfect, but the Q&A also includes the people in the comments, so they can respond
And
as
they're
well.
perfect.
And a lot of them they're doing what it is they do. We all do something, and most cases I'm the educator. I'm the forever learner. I'm learning everything. Midjourney just added some stuff, and I'm talking about like now you can repeat the character in the same clothes. So
Wait,
if
what's
you
wait, wait,
so
wait, wait.
Midjourney is the AI that creates images,
Thank you. Thank
and
you.
now in Midjourney you can take a character that you created in Midjourney and have it recreate that character wearing the same clothes, or change the outfit if you need to. So now repetition is important because now when you're doing like a storyboard, or now when you get into animation, movies, and that, it's still not perfect because I saw one image where they turned the head backwards on the clothing. So it was looking the opposite way in the outfit, but then it gives you a selection of stuff to choose from. You can, and
I
of
just
course,
had
you
an
got
idea.
other AI that can make the character talk, which some of them still look funny. Some AI software you can add in to do sound effects or create sounds. It's going to get real interesting real quick, but me personally, nothing necessarily totally. Now, if I want to do an animated movie, because like I said, with AI, you still got the hand problem, the finger issues, the feet issues, the toes, when I say feet. So your character have 6 fingers, and that'd be the whole hand would be extremely long when it shouldn't be. So the AI can't compete with people yet. Facial, yes, but you're not going to watch something with a bunch of talking heads. You all right, TK?
I just had this this I'm crying. Like I just had this amazing idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like I gotta see how. And so when something hits me, of course, I'm sitting here brainstorming while you're talking. I'm listening. I'm like I'm not listening because I'm literally like my whole brain is taking me through the whole process of what just hit my brain. I didn't just come up,
Okay.
But when you talked about animation, immediately there's some moments that I just went through in Jade. One, two, about 4 different moments
Mm-hmm.
that like my mind is I'm literally like, wait a minute, that would be okay. We have to talk about it offline. Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I have to see if it's gonna. Okay. All right. Sorry,
good
guys.
morning,
Sorry.
Crystal. How you doing? Um,
Hey, Crystal. Hey, Crystal. She said, "No, I'm about to start crying now." Listen. Oh my God. This. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm gonna have to talk offline about this. I'm gonna have to talk to some people. I got
all
to.
right. So
Okay.
I
So
mean, so that's a tool, right? We got to listen,
yeah.
filmmakers, you do got to play around with AI. You do got to learn it. You're going to have to learn VR and AR. If you're not trying to further yourself and educate yourself on these tools that are becoming more readily available and going to be put to greater use, you're going to be in trouble. And a VR AR camera, you're looking around $5,000 with the lens, right? I'm talking about the Canon R5C with the dual lens. So then, and because you again, and your iPhone, the iPhone 15 Pro Max has the dual lens capability of shooting that way too, um, but it's only in 1080p. So where the other one is in 8K, the Canon. So you got to know. You're just gonna have to decide, because I know people are gonna be wearing these AR VR goggles, the Apple Vision Pro, the Quest, the Meta Quest, the I mean, Sony has theirs coming. Microsoft already makes them. Sony has it for the PlayStation, but you're going to we're shifting. Now the question will be, will it be inexpensive or expensive? But still the need for content is going to be there. That's the why. Why? What are you creating? Why are you creating it? If you're doing action flicks, I'm quite sure people are going to gravitate to that first because action just looks really fun and cool in 3D. But if you're doing drama, it might be something to play around with. If you can really, in a cinematic way, immerse your viewer into the world as if they're sitting in the same room as your characters and make them feel like they're more of a part of the film, you may have to do the interactive. Um, Click this to see this happen or whatever. You may have to do that to attract your audience to be a part of it. Interactivity is going to be a big thing later. Programming will become part of things. We talked about that, but it's like, what are y'all thoughts? What do you guys think about this?
Yeah, because I think it's going to be like I told you before. I think it's more than just the camera. So we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about get this camera, but it's going to come down to figuring out how to write a script. Because there, like I said, there's no way that if I write a 90-page script for a movie and then I have to write it for VR, that's what my mind is thinking now. Then I have to click this and go this way, or which door would you open? Then I have to write extra content. And we even talked
Mm-hmm.
about how AI kicks in at some point, and then it's like copyright. And then is it really your movie? Because if you go win an award for a movie that everybody has clicked into, to go different ways, and then AI generated at some point, like what point does it not become what you've written anymore? Because everybody is making their own decisions in the audience versus watching the decisions that you made for them.
Mm.
And the other thing is with the editing. So you got to do, like I said, the not just the editing, but how does that work with post production? Period. How does that
I
work with
think
post production?
I
So
think there'll
that's
be
what we have to.
limitations. I think we'll still go back to, hey, let's give them 3, 5 choices. Click this and you go here, right? Click it. Because if you can get somebody to watch a movie 5 times, you're doing pretty good.
But it's
And
the writing. As
it
a
is,
writer, that's all I'm thinking about is the writing.
but
So
then
that's
that's
how
where you.
many scripts? I mean,
But it's
how many
where you
more
have them.
pages?
The question would probably be, and then this is where I said you still have to create limitations at first. But the question would have to be, where do you limit it at? Do you limit it at the plot points, where you have 5 different plot points and determining which one you choose, it'll go this direction? Computer software, video games do it all the time. They make the adjustments based on certain parameters. So that's where programming comes into play.
This is true.
Um,
That is true because Mario Brothers, that's the one I played. So that
but
you
like the
know it,
Quarry, there's the one we talked about before, the horror video game where you choose and select the direction you go, and it's based on the character's personality, right? If they're the jock, what decisions would the jock make that's different than the smart, quirky kid? It's like us writing though. How if somebody suffers from depression versus someone who's schizophrenic, they're not making the same choices in the same situation,
right,
right?
right.
And so we
Everybody
have
gonna
to
go to
think.
the same store and it's gonna be locked.
So we have to ask ourselves, why would this person do this? What about their personality would get them to react to this in what way? Somebody who's a narcissist may not respond this way, or so we do that. We learn the psychology of people to write stories based upon our character psychological makeup. This is why we fill out that whole character trait form as we're making our movie, because we're developing our main character and the characters around them and how would they react to the scenario situation. And now some people don't do that. I know some people who do not fill out their character traits. I know some people who do it all the time. Like, hey, I'm really trying to develop this type of character. And what's funny? I always say movies have a trend. So you know what the trend is right now? Memory loss or dementia in
Mm.
action movies. There's an action
In
movie.
action movies?
Yeah, there's an action movie
Oh wow,
where Michael Keaton plays an assassin who is going through an early onset of dementia,
that is a good concept.
right? So,
Dang.
and he's gonna eat away his brain basically, and his son who he hasn't been connected to comes involved because he killed somebody. And
Wow.
so now he and his son, but he's going through this dementia, right? Now, if you think about it, Memento by Christopher Nolan, when the character, we kept realizing the character was leaving notes because they were forgetting what happened over a short period of time. They had to remind themselves and tell themselves. So
Wow.
now there's another movie, same thing. The assassin is losing their memory or something. And now it's not the Michael Keaton, it's another movie. But I'm noticing, there's more movies with this things like this. Which gravitate. It's like when when a movie about football comes out, a few more movies about football comes out. And so now you got, how will people deal with things with dementia, everyday life, or the assassin, the ninja, the whatever, if they were losing their memory? How will they interact with the people they know and they're familiar with? How would they act with new strangers? So that leads to something, right? I mean, you could literally make a horror movie where a person is being tormented or by a ghost or something, but they have dementia. So the experience is always new and different. You know,
Like 50 First Dates.
yeah, but
But with a
again,
ghost
you did it with the
and
comedies.
dementia.
So now, so I think that was a new thing. I've like, that was like, wait, they're doing some more movies like that, because I'd seen like 3 trailers and I was like, that's the new thing. Like, okay.
That is interesting.
So why are we there? I mean, with storytelling, it's because it does sound a little unique. I never thought about, but like I liked the movie with Ben Affleck when he has autism and he's a killer, like trained a killer assassin, went to the military, trained by his dad and everything.
Wow.
And he's the accountant. There we go. He's the accountant.
The accountant, okay.
And I was like, this is a good movie because you never think about, could the assassin have autism, a high level of autism? And because that's a spectrum, right? So how would that character deal with things? How would they be impacted by things? Somebody who has OCD. So it's like, because as good as it gets, Jack Nicholson's character had OCD.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That was I own that movie.
See,
That was
it's good storytelling.
They taught it. Yeah, they taught it at a seminar, and that movie is really good on storytelling.
Yeah, because and it also, it's the arc, right? He starts off one way and he ends up different by the end. He's changed, and so the people around him have changed him as well, and they're impacted and changed. So you see that, and that's what we're told in filmmaking. If your main character doesn't change or learn something by the end, did you really tell a good story?
I read for a film festival, a very, very, very renowned film festival. And I read scripts, and they were like, what we like to do, this is back, and they were like, we like to have you to come in and read 2 of the top 10 scripts. And I had just started learning to write. So, people say I'm a technical writer, but that's fine because I write structurally and then we fill in the gaps as we need to. Because even though you talk about how we write Western versus, we have a Western way of storytelling versus
the rest of the world.
The rest of the world, but I, as Western people, are trained for certain things. So it's like in the beginning of a movie, there's a particular movie that I'm not going to say the name of it, but there's a particular movie that the beginning was dragging so much, but I mean, it sped up, and all the plot points were like pushed together, which the second act is usually about 50 pages plus.
Right.
That second act was like an hour long because they moved all the plot points to the beginning. So it was just sitting there like it's dragging because we're so used to, something turning like every 10 pages or our main plot points happening. But so to say that, what was my train of thought? Let's take the wheel. But to say that, it's like, that's why we have a structure, and I can't remember where I was going with my freaking point. My mind is so thrown off right now. What was I going? What were you talking about right before that? Jesus.
You were talking about how the writing style, like the arc of your character changing, and if a
Okay,
character
yeah.
doesn't,
So back
yeah.
to the film festival. Y'all got to help me here. Back to the film festival. So they said I had just started learning whatever. So I'm like deep in this thing, of course, because I'm learning. And I get in there. They're like, we want you to read 2 of the top 10 scripts to so you can see what we're looking for. And I said, okay. So I go in and I read, and I'm like, hmm. You said these was part of the top 10? Okay. One of the scripts, literally, the first turning point was on page 35. And
Okay.
I kept flipping back. You know how you keep flipping back to make sure you don't miss anything? The first turning point was page 35. And you all know 1 minute a page, that's 35 minutes into a movie with no turning point. None. And
Mm,
the second movie I read, it was more like a Harry Potter type of movie. So
okay.
it's like kind of like so it was like that, but at the very end of the movie, not one person changed. The main character, the people around them, nobody, nothing changed.
But
And
see,
I'm sitting,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, and I'm like you said, the purpose of a movie, either the people around them have to change, or the main. Usually, it's the main character who changes. But also, I think Hancock was an example. People use that the people around him changed. So it's
Right.
like, so it's like this is a top renowned film festival, and this is. I was just like, did I miss? Like, did I miss?
But
Like,
see, I think we learn the rules, and this is where I say learning is so important. You learn the rules so you can learn how to one day effectively break them.
exactly.
Okay. I have to say the word effectively. You don't just break a rule, it has to make sense. It's like when you learn to use the camera and you learn the 180 rule, right? And you don't cross the 180 line. But we see enough movies where people are in an argument and the camera moves around the circle around them, and it's breaking the 180, but it's still keeping the shots, but it's creating an intensity. It's varying the camera shots. It's so many things, but it makes sense when we see it that it's not jarring, right? Where if somebody doesn't understand the 180 rule, it becomes jarring because both characters are sitting on the right side of the camera. And you're like, nah, that's not what a conversation looks like. When you look at two people talking to each other at a table, one's on the left, one's on the right. That's natural view. That's what we see. And so it's like, and what again, understanding the camera, excuse me, is the camera there? Well, that's the fourth wall. We don't always break the fourth wall, but a Ferris
Mhm.
Bueller's Day Off, Deadpool, they do it very well, right? They break the fourth wall with no problem. Some narratives, first person narratives, are good like that. But if you break the fourth wall when you don't need to, and we now know the camera is there, because when we were watching a movie, the
Okay.
camera's not supposed to be there. It's supposed to feel like we're there. That's really what it is. That's why we
Yeah,
talk to the screen. That's why we yell, "Don't go in the room." The character can't hear you,
that's where like a
but
fly on the wall. Yeah,
yeah, but we feel like we're there, and that's the illusion, and that's the purpose of cameras. It's the illusion of making you feel like you're there in the environment, and that's why you turn the lights down, and so you're engulfed in this screen. That's why we're in a movie theater and the theater goes dark, because we're engulfed in what's going on the screen, and we feel it. And that's why a close up is important, because when we look into a character's eyes, we either believe them or don't trust them, or we know, so the distance from the person's face to how close it is determines how we feel about them, and do they matter. And so eh, that's the important thing. But when you want to break that rule in writing, you got to learn how to write first. You got to learn what a script looks like from beginning in the act 1, act 2, act 3. Some people call it, some people treat the plot points as acts. I know I've heard that before,
mm,
as an act shift, because every time you shift from one act to the next, there's always a plot point or something. That's what they're saying. But in act 2, we have different plot points or plot twists, right, that
hmm
occur. um it's telling like really good stories, but like why does this matter? Well, if I sit down, I watched the show last Saturday. Not Saturday. I'm mixed. I guess it was Sunday. Yeah, last Sunday. Last Sunday, I watched this show called. It's new on Netflix, called The Gentleman, and I will say it's the British version of Power. That's what it is. Now it doesn't have all the sex scenes, but there's a lot of violence. But it's funny, it's interesting, and the premises is simple. There's a family of that is a royal or a duke family. They have an estate that's huge, and the father dies. The son takes over as the duke, and the father made a deal with the big drug lord, to let them grow weed underground on their estate. And the son is trying to get rid of them. He's like, they gotta go. We're not keeping them on our land. And he has to get in bed with them to get rid of them. And it is like everything starts unfolding as he's trying to get rid of them. And who he is. When we meet him, he's a captain in the military for the UN. He's well respected. He's a soldier. He's all this stuff. Very intelligent, knows how to handle himself. That's why it's called The Gentleman. And his brother is the screw up. Drug addict, gambler. He part of the reason he has to get in the game is because his brother spends all this money and he owes this other crime lord money.
Oh my God. It's got layers and layers.
Yeah, it has layers. And so, and the brother messes up everything every time. It's like, but that's power. Tommy messes it up, keeps Ghost in because Ghost is trying to Tommy and Tasha. So same premises, but it's written from their perspective, from another perspective. It's British. There's royalty involved. Now, Giancarlo Esposito is in there. He's one of the guys trying to buy the property, and you learn about his character later. And it's like, so I was laughing because I was like, "Why I feel like this is Breaking Bad." So like, and then,
really? It's similar to Breaking Bad too.
Breaking Bad and Power rolled up in one.
Now that's interesting.
But because the brother's trying to get out, the other brother keeps him in. But it was good. It was like, I think it's 8 or 10 episodes, and it was really good. I called my dad. I was like, hey, because he just has to watch Netflix or whatever every day, so he can chill. And he's like, I'm gonna watch it. I'm watch because he likes military stuff, so he's watching this other show on Apple about pilots on Apple TV. I can tell you what it is. It's called the Masters of the Air. He's watching that. And he was like, yeah, they brought some black pilots in finally. Wow. So that's what I watched. I've been watching Halo. So cause we didn't do what you watching, but
Okay.
Yeah. So what you watch?
I finished watching Malcolm X,
Okay.
which was hard. I really, they didn't. I don't know how somehow they missed it.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow they missed it. I don't know where they missed it, but they emotionally drawing me in missed it.
Okay.
They missed it somewhere, and I don't know where. But emotionally, it felt so light. Like I did not feel the heaviness. Like Malcolm X, I don't know. I don't know how they missed it. It was kind of like when you were watching Detroit. Did you see Detroit?
I couldn't get into it.
Okay,
I had
but
to
see,
feel a certain way when I watched those things, and I just couldn't get into Detroit, so I always turned it off.
So Elizabeth, what's
Mhm.
Elizabeth's name? Elizabeth, the one who did Hurt Locker. She was the director of Detroit.
Detroit, yeah.
And it felt so like surface. And even all the Detroit people were mad and everything. It felt so surface. That's how this felt. Like when I watched Aretha though, because
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back and watch the first and the third one because they did Lombardi and they did not Lombardi, they did Picasso. Picasso was
Okay.
season 3 and Einstein was season 1. So I want to go back and watch those.
Okay.
But when I watched Aretha, I felt more of the emotion than I did when I watched this one. And this one should have been the heaviest emotional one of all, with the wives, with the family, with what they were going through as activists. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Getting death threats, stab, but house bombings. You would have thought that you would have felt more of the emotional weight in this series, in this,
Hmm.
Malcolm X, because it was MLKX, and
Right.
I did not. I was just like,
Interesting.
like I was like, huh.
That's
Like
interesting.
I,
I
I
haven't got a chance to watch it yet. I'm gonna,
and I'm an
I was gonna
emotional
sit and watch it.
person. I'm an emotional person, so I was kind of surprised. I was definitely surprised that I didn't feel the weight emotionally at all. I felt it more in the documentary, the documentary that I watched before that, the Giannis documentary. I'm crying, shouting, screaming, like doing all of this in the room watching the documentary. And then when I watched MLKX, it was like, hmm. Yeah, so it was really, really surface. So it was interesting to me. So I'm. Anybody else watch? Did anybody else watch it? But I can't wait to see what you thought about it for sure.
Yeah, I definitely want to check it out. We want to just say because I see over in the Black Filmmakers Lounge community, Michelle Favors. Hey, how you doing?
Hey,
Uh,
Michelle.
it's been a while. Thaddeus, what's going on? And because we on the main page, so I gotta say
Okay.
what's up. Lewis, good morning. um, he said thank you for watching his short, which is hello friend. Um, Oh, that was never mind. Am I lost here? I don't know. Okay, so yeah, I'm
Y'all,
just
I gotta
making
tell y'all this
sure.
real
I
quick.
gotta go through all the pages.
You got anybody?
So if you want
Okay.
to holler, if you want us to hear you, go to the actual Facebook page for the Black Filmmakers Lounge, not the community. We can see the Facebook page, and we can see the YouTube channel. So if you want to say something, share something, ask a question, go there. But and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you're doing it, and tell your friends and family. But yeah, I just I got to be in a mood for certain films anyway. But like when I think about, it's like this: when you think about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X dying, what song comes to your brain immediately?
What something comes to your mind immediately?
Sam Cooke, "A Change Is Gonna Come." I was
That's
born
what
by the
that
river.
that's that's the first song. That's the first song that came to my mind.
Yeah,
Um, but it was.
I
I can't wait till you
connected.
watch it.
Yeah, I connect them to that song, right? Connect those moments of losing them to that song. Um, and that's the thing. About music, about society, we make connections. Um, who do you connect to the 90s? If you saw a movie in the 1992, 93, 91, around that time period, what music should be playing around there that spoke volumes for us?
Now you're going to be very surprised at the music selections of this
Mm-hmm.
series. You're going to be, if you haven't watched it, you're going to be very surprised. I was very surprised at these music selections, especially when it got to like episode 4, 5, 6. I was just like, interesting. It was definitely not the music selection I was thinking. One, listen, Black Panther 2. I just that music. I don't even know. Usually, I don't even like you. You pay attention to stuff in a film unless it's as it flows, but when it's
Mm-hmm.
off, you notice it.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but Black Panther 2 was one of those films because I've never been even, and I wasn't even into the music of Jade or anything when I went to see this. I don't think, well, just a tad bit, but I was just like, God, this music is so good in this film. It just flowed. I mean, I could watch Black Panther just for the, I mean, of course it's great, but I could
Hmm.
just watch it just for the music. Like it was so, the music just flowed so well. So when you hear something that's a little different, like it flows so well that I wasn't expecting it to be off, of course, but it was just so beautiful. And when I watched this, I was just like, oh, that's interesting, because for somebody it flowed, but it was just an interesting choice of music
Right.
that they used. But like I said, it's still great because I learned a lot that you always see documentaries and whatever, so you still end up learning something that you did not know. It's like, oh, that happened. Oh, and they use little things, um, like little things that we didn't know about somebody. So I like how they
Hmm.
kind of implemented that. So that was cool. But yeah, it's a great watch. I definitely say, watch it. But yeah, I'd love to hear what other people thought about it for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So I gotta check it out. But yeah, anything else you watch? That
Trying to
was it.
think. I think that's it. I'm watching something today. Oh, I gotta watch. Somebody told me to watch something today, so I gotta
Okay.
watch something today.
I did Invincible and the Bad Batch. I forgot to mention those, but yeah, they
Okay.
started a part two of the second season for Invincible on this Thursday, in the Bad Batch on Wednesday, and of course I'm watching Halo season two. Um, and yeah, that's it. I got things I want to watch. I'm gonna sit and watch at some point. I still owe my wife to take her see the One Love, the Bob Marley movie. Um,
Yes.
so I still gotta do that. Um, might need to do that tomorrow. Uh, it's
I need to go see that.
it's so funny because I had to think about how many times I went to the movies. We saw Origins, we saw American Fiction, we went to the Beyonce thing at the movies. Um, but then I talked to Jamal, DJ Sci-Fi, and he was like, "I haven't been to a movie in a long time." His last movie, I
Right.
think, was like 2 years ago or something. Like it just, or maybe a year ago. It just, you're just things have really changed. People aren't really going to the movies as they used to, and I pay attention to that. I especially business wise for film, because the number ones, the money number one movie brings in isn't the same, or the number two or the number three. It isn't the same as it was pre-COVID. Where these
Hmm.
guys were bringing in like 50, 100 million, da da da. It's like, oh, they made 5 million. Oh, they made 3 million at number three, and you're like, why so low? People aren't going like they
Yeah.
used to.
Yeah, Jalen was talking about that. Jalen Daniels, he's on here sometimes, but he was talking about how people used to go to the movie. How it's like, people used to go to the movies just for a movie. It didn't have to be, Marvel or a big blockbuster. It was just a regular movie, and people go to the movie. So he was saying, because Breath came out, is coming out with Jennifer Hudson and Quavinjane,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, "Oh, it's going to be in theaters." So he was just like you said, Origins, just regular movies that people just used to go to the movies for.
Yeah, it's like some people, a good portion. And I remember when we first started doing the Black Filmmakers Lounge, and I did a survey of my students and asked them, and the survey was, for each class, it ranged between 50%, 52%. It was like half and half. Some of them were like, "I'll just watch it when it comes on. I'd rather look at it from TV at home. I can eat whatever I want to eat. I can pause it to go to the
I
bathroom.
remember that.
I can
Yeah.
enjoy it, cover up with my blanket and watch it. And I can invite some friends over, and we can." So times have really shifted, and the viewer is not the same. And that's why I'm saying about that AR and VR, it's going to be, those are the personal people. Those are, hey, I don't have to share this movie experience with the person next to me. I can just sit here with my goggles on and they can do what they're doing on their phone, and we still in the same room or whatever. But what I do think is, if VR is connected, where it feels like you look over and your friends in the room watching the same movie you're watching at the same time, and you're having a conversation but you're both enjoying your own 3D experience or whatever of that movie, that's going to change a lot. The moment you can connect with people around you and they can still be immersed in their own world. And I know people are afraid of it, but I always tell people it's always coming.
Yeah.
It's
Look,
like,
I'm like, mm.
yeah,
but I do believe if they're gonna make some 3 hour movies, they need to start putting in a 5 minute intermission.
like they used to do that back
Be-
in the day for a 2 hour movie.
no, but to think
Remember when
about it,
Gandhi came out and Excalibur and they had an intermission for you to go to the bathroom and get popcorn?
but think about it for real. How many times in a 3 hour movie? I mean, not how many times, but the chances of you having to go to the bathroom in a 2.5, 3 hour movie. What are the chances? You gonna have to go pee.
Some, depending. I try to drink during the
Women,
movie, not before the movie.
see, I did. That's what I'm saying.
I
I
go
try
do
to drink
everything
during the
before
movie
the
too,
movie.
but especially women. Some guy was like, women use the restroom more than men, especially women.
Yeah.
Like then we just gotta watch it and we're like, okay, like when they had the whole Suge, I missed the whole Suge scene with Celie walking through the field and stuff because that's when I went to pee. I was like, I gotta go pee.
Mm.
But I do pee before I go. Sorry, I do go to the ladies' room before I go to the restroom. I mean, before I go to the movies. But I'm just saying, if y'all gonna make 2.5, 3 hour movies, come on, throw five
But you
minutes in
can't.
there
I
for
think
us.
they're natural now. I think 2 hour movies is natural. I think that people are willing to give up 2 hours of their day to watch certain movies at home or whatever, and this is natural. I think not just superhero movies, but Harry Potter, all those movies. They are. You watch a Star Wars movie, they're like 2 hours long. You watch any
A
Marvel,
Star
whatever,
Wars
they're
movie
two
is two
hours.
hours
That's what I was seeing.
only.
Yeah, it's a
Mm,
little 2 hours, a little over, depending. But like,
that's
I
interesting.
think we've
Okay, like,
become, used to this.
well, our bodies are our bodies, though.
Yeah, but I think that filmmakers have to decide: are we going to go back to the 90-minute thing? I mean, there's still 90-minute movies coming out, but I think most movies I've seen like at 110, um, 102. They're a little beyond just 90 minutes. Um, and so, what makes them interesting? The key is, how do I hold your attention for this amount of time? Some movies I feel like are just too quick. They don't develop the character or the story well enough to try to do 72 to 90 minutes. Um, where when you sit through 2 hours, there's some good character development and you understand. But then if you develop the character well enough, is there a sequel? There's a lot of movies that I thought, oh, there'll be a sequel, and there hasn't been. And we missed out. And they're like, oh, we didn't do well. Well,
It don't have to be a
yeah,
sequel to every movie, though.
what I mean
Like,
by
there doesn't
sequel,
have to be a reboot to every TV show.
well, I don't want reboots. I mean, when I see a sequel, I don't mind. I feel like sequels are like chapters. Like, hey, I watched this movie and something
Hmm.
good happens, or there's a change at the end and it makes me want to see more. Right. And then there's some movies you're not going to go, you don't want to know what happened afterwards. It is what it is. You're done. So it just depends on the movie and the storytelling. I think that's why we like series. I think that's why some people have moved over to doing series now on platforms, because they are putting forth a good budget. They're putting the experience into it as cinematic as possible. So they're spending on the effects, they're spending on the storytelling and the actors. So it makes it worth watching. I think platforms have really reshaped the film industry. The question will be, when it comes to the regular everyday movie, when something's no longer on a platform, how are you going to watch it unless another platform picks it up, right? For independents, I think I'm wondering about Vimeo. Will Vimeo change where it has AR, VR abilities in Vimeo? Because I think Vimeo is one of the best platforms out there that independent filmmakers can use, because you can charge through Vimeo for people to watch your content,
Hmm.
right? When they're going to step up? They've gotten into conferencing and all these other things, but I think if they really said, hey, we help you build your independent platform and you can run Vimeo through Roku, what changes? And in brief news, Roku got hacked. Some people's Roku files, sign-ins and stuff is out there, so that
Hmm.
you're probably going to be looking to change it real soon. That's the other thing when it comes to technology, this hacking thing. I can't hack you can't hack a DVD player. Well, you can, but you know.
Can't hack
But
my DVD.
you can hack any electronics. But is it the same? You know, anything connected to the internet is connected. But so the curiosity becomes, because we're all moving to these streaming devices and everything. Your information are attached to these platforms and companies. Should they be, or should they have encryption? Like, I think they need to work on encryption, but that's another story. So 60-second Jewel. Listen, we appreciate you guys hanging out. We noticed they're running a lot of questions, but hey, if you got questions, you got things you like for us to discuss, we'll definitely discuss them. Just a quick heads up, we will be taking a minor break next week because I'll be flying to Texas. So I won't be around early in the morning on Saturday to be, well, I will be, could have been, but I'll be just landing in Texas at 12 in the morning. So yeah, I leave late Friday.
Okay.
So when I come back, which I come back on a Saturday, and I don't get back until after 9. So it looks like these 2 Saturdays we'll probably be taking a minor break. But while we're doing that, we'll be setting up some interviews, some people to come on, people for you to meet. We're working on those right now anyway. So we've been discussing that. But if you've been joining us, continue to join us. Don't worry, we ain't going nowhere. We're here. We're the Black Filmmakers Lounge. I know we had a long pause. A lot of things happened, but we're here. If you got questions, you got something you like for us to talk about, let us know. Here's my challenge before you leave. Go research how many movies take place in the same location. And if you have not made a movie yet, play around with that. If you could tell a story in one location and make us forget things or whatever, and when I mean one location, you can shoot inside and outside of your house, around your neighborhood. Not around your neighborhood, but right, one location to me is everything's right here in this one spot. Hey, I rented a cabin. We're going to use the cabin in the woods. Boom. Actually, the blackening, one location, really, right? Well, not really. Not really. Okay. I thought about it for a second. They did when they were driving and stuff. But that's still one location to me because most of the film takes place in the house and the cabin and that woods around it. But that helps your budget. So research the movies that all take place in one location and see how well they done. Think of the movie Misery. Right? Again, the first Friday the 13th when they're at Crystal Lake. That's what I said. You can do it. It's not impossible. You can tell a really good story. So 60-second Jim, have fun, learn, do what you got to do. Why? Answer this one question forever. Why did you get into filmmaking? Why do you want to make movies? If you can answer that, it'll help you plan out from that moment on. All right, TK, what you got? Sorry.
No, I started laughing because you're talking about the one location. And, usually people go to a restaurant. And I started thinking, well, instead of the restaurant, just have them order DoorDash. But I thought that was so really funny.
That's real, though. That's what we do today. That's them COVID movies. I was waiting to see how many movies about COVID we were going to see in these current years. But people didn't really do that as much as we thought.
60-second Jim. God, I got a whole bunch of things going through my head, but I'm gonna say 60-second Jim. Do something towards your goal. Like do something. If it's not every day, every other day. Try to do something towards your goal. Try to do one thing just towards your goal, because a lot of times we just wait and lump everything together. So it's okay to do, one thing here and then a couple of days later do one thing. And my friend always says, dang, you're doing something every day towards, this. And I'm like, yeah, so I'm getting instructions, but just, you know what I mean? Whether it's just every day, once a week. If you take time once a week just to put something towards that goal, take the time instead of lumping everything together at one time and then be like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. Well, if you were planning on it, you knew it was coming, taking those steps day by day. That's my tip.
Yeah, I'm a piggyback off of that. I just thought of something. If you took 15 minutes every day to write 15 pages of your script.
Please let me know. Yeah, let me hear about that.
And
15
I'm not
minutes,
saying because your
15
first, it's
pages.
always a rough. Yeah, a minute a page. If you think about
That's
that,
for
you can.
filming, Michael. You can't write 15.
You don't think
I
you can
write
write 15
fast.
pages?
I know I can't. I write fast, and I take more than 15 minutes to write 10 pages, and I write fast.
Okay. But if you
So
did that,
that
I mean, because in your brain, here's the funny thing. In your brain, you probably already thought of the 15 pages. You just got to write it out. I could give you 15 minutes of a story in 15 minutes.
see what happens is people give a paragraph and say that's 15 minutes of the story, and then you have to write 15 pages.
Right.
It's like a
Yeah.
paragraph is not 15 pages; it's a paragraph.
Right.
See,
But in my brain, I see it visually like a film. So I see every play by play. But that's just me. I'm a visual person. But that's a challenge. Take out 15 minutes a day to write, whether it's 10,
okay, yeah, I
15
write
minutes or 5 minutes.
15-minute pages because if Michael said it's possible, because 1 minute a page, that's only for viewing, that's not for writing. But go ahead, yes,
Well,
please.
again, you're writing a rough draft too. Your first right is a rough. Get it all out. Get what you can out first and then go back over it.
Just
But I'm
write,
just saying, just write
just
15
write,
minutes a
just write.
day.
There you go.
15 minutes a day. I think it's possible. Prove me right, somebody. All right.
Prove him right.
All right. We love you guys. We like to say we appreciate you guys hanging out with here at the Black Filmmakers Lounge Saturday morning in the industry shop talk. I'm your host, Michael Melville, with my co-host, Tamara TK Henderson. Boom. There we go. And we appreciate you guys. Hey, if you got questions, put them in the comments. You got suggestions for shows, put them in the comments. Like, subscribe, share. Let us know what you like about the show. We love you guys. We appreciate y'all. We hope you have a wonderful Saturday weekend and the sun is out. So go enjoy it if it is where you are. I know in some places it's snowing and storming, but if you're not in those places, go enjoy. Have a wonderful day. Be blessed. Make a movie. And we out. Peace. Like, subscribe, share. What?
And share.
Like, subscribe,
Like, subscribe,
share.
and
What?
share. Like, subscribe, and share.
Real quick, Lewis has a new YouTube channel. Go check his YouTube channel out. We're following on the Black Filmmakers Lounge. All right. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys for following us, hanging out with us for these past, almost 4 years. Wow. Thank you. All right. Peace.